I thought this was a good choice to work from here. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in. I won't be able to say hi to you from all your different countries where you're zooming in from when you're listening to the radio, but thank you for joining me. So what is today about? In Colorado, it's about snow, but that's not what I want to talk about. Let me just remind you that this show is kind of eclectic and spiritually multilingual. So if I say something and the words kind of jar you, don't worry, just translate into another language and it'll be fine. I also have, if you're watching, you'll notice a dog head in the back of me. I have a 1-year-old Newfoundland puppy who is hopefully going to behave and nap through this session. One can only hope, since I already walked her. Anyway, welcome. And today, I've got some fun stuff I want to talk to you about. You know, we're coming into the holiday season, and for some people, there's a lot of financial worry that happens. My career, just so you know, I've mentioned this before, I've got a PhD at Psych, and some of the research I did was about brain and money, and how we respond to money, which isn't always good. And there's a ton of work out there on the psychology of money, the art of money, the soul of money, lots of books. And in fact, there's even a certification for people to become a financial therapist. They don't tell you how to invest. They don't tell you what to do with your money. But what they do tell you is, what are you thinking about money? And how is what you're thinking about money messing up your money? So I want to talk about this for a couple of reasons. The first reason is, like I said, we're just sliding right into the holiday season. And a lot of people end up with a lot of debt. So we want to kind of address, you know, how to think about money and gifting and generosity and all that stuff before we start spending. That's number one. And then number two, this is a really kind of chaotic time in the world. Not that the world is ever absolutely calm, but because of social media, we're much more aware of something happening. And not only do we know what happened, whatever it happens to be, right, the election, but even if the election isn't over, we can minute by minute listen to opinions and predictions and, oh my gosh, statements and what's going to happen, and what are these people going to do, and what are they going to do, the world is coming if they win. So there's a lot of chaotic energy and messaging in the world around us. And that, I think, makes it very, very difficult to make more reasonable choices. Right? If you feel like the world's going to end tomorrow, you might as well spend all your money, right? And do something fun, because why not? Or perhaps you feel like the people in power are going to become more authoritarian. Maybe you should just never spend another dollar because you're going to have to run away. I mean, there's just chaotic information. Astrologically, we are in a position right now where the planet Neptune is very close to the planet Jupiter. And that may not mean a lot to you, but just think about this for a second. Neptune is the planet that controls our dreams, not our goals and visions, but the dream world, our psychic experiences, our night dreams, our things that haunt us. And it's next to the planet Jupiter, and the planet Jupiter expands whatever it's next to. So we're also in a time where our fears can be expanded, but our notions of what we can accomplish and do or succeed at can be expanded. Okay, so what might that mean? Let me take that apart. I've definitely had clients, so before I go there, hold that thought. Let me go back. That because I did so much of this research when I was an academic dean and taught classes in the psychology of money and the psychology of marketing and the psychology of consumerism, because I did that, I also have been able to advise clients not on investing ever, but on where are they psychologically, emotionally with money. And we're in different places, each of us, depending on our background, our history, our experience, our culture. Lots of messages that turn up in our world that make different In a relationship, this is really, really important. Why? What if you're a saver in a relationship with a spender? Now, you might think this is a good balance. It also can cause a lot of problems. So there's different ways to manage your money if you're going to deal with those sort of two extremes, right? Spend everything just because if you have it, you should spend it, or wait, save it because I'm going to need it someday. Two different perspectives. So right now, what I'm seeing a great deal of in my clients is them coming to me and saying, I know, I should quit my job and I should live that dream of starting a business. Now, some of them have already started businesses, and it's a perfect time for them to work on growing it. But there is this notion that every single person can build a multi-million-dollar business online. And we hear that from some of the coaches out there, not naming any names. There are some great coaches. I've interviewed some great coaches on this show who have really good success with clients who already have a business and they're helping them expand. What some of the coaches don't tell you, the ones who say, hey, anything you want to do, you want to read tarot cards online, you want to sell your knitting, whatever it is, you can, with my help, build this multi-million-dollar business. They have about a 10% success rate with their clients. 10%. I'm not going to mention that, but they're about 10%. Now, does that mean you shouldn't start a business? No. But what it does mean is before you think about quitting your job and launching an online business, you should deal with your scripts and your ideology and your emotions and psychology around money, because that comes first. And then, when you have that in place, you've got it, you've figured that out, you know how to deal with blocks and the strengths in there, then you can honestly look at, does starting a business make sense for you? Okay? That's a lot, I know. But we're going to go back and just talk about money. Should some people quit their job and start a business? Yes. Should some people keep their job and start a business? Yes. Should some people have a great job? Yes. There is no one right answer for this. Should somebody, quit their job and get a better job? Sure. There's tons of answers, and there's tons of ways to become financially secure. You don't have to run a multi-million-dollar business to be secure. The truth is, if you are a young adult listening to me right now, your 20s, your 30s, if you started saving $500 a month right now and never stopped, you'd be a millionaire by the time you retire. That's just how it works. Saving money is how most people actually build wealth in this country. It's just that our emotions get involved and we don't know how to deal with our money. Okay. So, why might you have attitudes about money? And I'd love for you to just sort of stop and think about that. What were the messages that you got as a child? What did you receive? Who was in charge of the money? How were financial decisions made? If you came from a family that was always struggling, which so many families do, and so many families are right now, what's the message you get? I had parents who were children in the Depression, at the end of the Depression era. And so they saved everything. I remember when I was helping my mom clean out her house and she was going to move, there was clothing in there that I remember her buying when I was in high school. It was kind of crazy because you saved stuff, right? But she also, because after my dad died, she saw sort of this big chunk of money and she didn't understand necessarily how to plan for her future. There were clothes that she had bought that still had the tags on them that she never wore. Because you had to save things for special, right? Like buy some nice pants and only wear them for a special event. And there was never a special event that was special enough to risk getting those clothes dirty. So interesting sort of push-pull. Save everything, protect everything, but she'd spend money and then often not use what she bought. Interesting messages that she got from her parents, right? And the messages that I got, that I could at least observe, that I could deal with. My father was the one who would say to me over and over again, anytime I wanted something, well, save your money, save your money, save your money. Great message. And you know what? I'm a saver. When it comes to first financial decisions, I'm a saver. I look at how can I build security via savings. Some messages I got. It's partly from my culture. Work hard, save money. Partly from my culture. Partly from my parents. And partly from all these financial books I was reading when I was younger. Like, oh, Warren Buffett says save money. Okay, the guy's rich. I should do that. However, some people are born with a lot of money, or in a situation in which they feel like they have to demonstrate they have a lot of money. Even if you're not born into that, I have had clients, for example, who have spent a lot of money, happen to be usually in LA, where I was raised, and they buy a car they can barely afford. But it's cool. It's a cool car, right? So you get a car that isn't like a Ford or a Chevy. You get something that's a Lexus or a Beamer or whatever. And they say to me, this is what everyone in my industry drives. It's what I have to drive to look like I'm successful. Interesting thought, isn't it? I have to drive an expensive car and spend money on that car payment to look like I'm financially successful, even though the car payment is stressing me out. And honestly, I have never found that the car I drive has hindered me in my life. And I drive a Ford. Our cars are absolutely representative of who we are. So is our clothing. Do you need a Coach bag? Do you need high-end things to go to work? Charging up your credit card so that you feel successful at work. There's not a one answer to this, right? There's not one true answer. These are emotional experiences, emotional views, psychological frameworks around money. And what I can say to you is before you start a business, this is something you need to be aware of. Before you get deeply into a relationship, this is a conversation you should have. How do you deal with money? There is, and thankfully we outgrown this in the world, but there definitely, I came out of a time where lots of women got married and the man was in charge of the money. Right? That was just a thing. In my life, I never left control of my money. I never stopped being aware of money. But I know women who then their spouse died or they were in a divorce, and suddenly they had no idea. How much money do I have? Do I have any? Where is it coming from? What should I ask for? How do I manage this? Right? It's a dangerous situation. It can go the other way, obviously, right? And nowadays, who knows? But in any case, if you have a person in a marriage or relationship and the other person is totally in control of the money, if something happens to that person, what happens to you? Knowledge is power, and knowledge about money is very important. I've written about this. I've written blogs about this and articles about this. I will tell you that in higher ed, right, the world that most of my career was as an academic dean, we were expected on some level to understand budgets. So no problem, I understand a budget. But in the higher ed world, if you went to a meeting, somehow you had permission to say, you weren't the dean, I don't do dollars, I don't do money, right? And we just need to take care of students, and you better spell well, because spelling in higher education is very important. You don't dare go to the table and say, yeah, I don't spell well, even if you're dyslexic. But you can absolutely choose out of saying that you're good with money, which is ridiculous. There's almost a shame in saying, I'm really good with money and I understand it. And people appreciate, right, are more than willing to say to you, okay, so you're not good with money, it's fine. I remember watching a speaker, Susie Orman, who teaches about money. And I was watching her once, and she stood up on stage and she said, I am very, very, maybe there are 3 years, wealthy. No shame, no apology. And I appreciated that, because in the spiritual world, in the sort of new agey whatever world, there is some sort of sense that if you have money, you're not spiritual. I'm also an astrologer, you know that, and so I've, run in that world a little bit. I've overlapped with people in that world. And it was even the notion that because I had a PhD, somehow I was less spiritual. The notion that I had a full-time job, I was maybe less spiritual. And definitely if I got to financial security and understood money, I was less spiritual. Just think about that message for a minute, right? And think about, I always think about Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, right? There's no shame in being poor, but it's no great honor either. Money and spirituality are not connected. Money brings out who we are at our core. Now, at some level, if you're generous, you get more money, you're probably still going to be generous. But too much money, an overabundance of money you can't ever even spend, makes you crazy and stupid, and me. Okay? Here's what I'll tell you. If you're on the road, watch the drivers with the more expensive cars. It's not a steadfast rule. You'll find, little tiny old cars where people drive crazy. But there is an arrogance in the driving for people who have more expensive cars. You can kind of see it. Something about money and having it changes our perspective on who we are in the world. Tons of research on this. It starts with who are you and what do you bring to the table to begin with. So I've got some really cool books that I can recommend on this, or you can talk to me about this. I can find it in people's charts. I definitely work with people. I don't have the certification in financial therapy, but as a professional mentor, it often comes up. Oh, and by the way, this is the Dr. Lisa Show. I'm KUHS Denver the Stream. And you can find me and work with me. How do you find me? You can go to alisarobin.com. That's my website. And you can, you can message me there. You can follow my blog there. You can, I have an oracle, which I created years and years ago there. I have links to my books there. You can also, and you can email me from that site. You can just email me directly, alisarobin@msn.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter very much anymore for various reasons. And you can also follow me on TikTok. I'm not super active there, but I do post on a regular basis there. You want to work with me, I'm easy to find. And I have one-offs where we can do a one session, or I have packages so that we can work with each other for a while for a discounted price, and depending on what you need. So, just so you know, that's me, and you know KUHS Denver, you know that station. Back to money. Would love you to, because I'm at home, I can't get messages from you live on Facebook right now, but really want to sort of shift over. I know I was saying that I would do some live readings, but sorry, this is sort of how it goes when you're at home. But I do want to talk to you about some of the stuff, I think, that is almost like a reading, and it is helping you find your money issues. So, what's the hardest financial issue to deal with? We keep moving the goalpost. We keep looking for more because enough is never enough, right? Now, I've had some clients who were millionaires, multi-millionaires, and what they worried about all the time was their money. And when they got to like 2 million, they'd say to me, now if I can just get to 3 million, I can relax. It just kept moving that goalpost. The reality of happiness research is that once you have enough money, and that number is a little weird because of going through time, but let's say you make, I don't know, 70,000 a year, and you find that you can pay all your bills and you can have some fun, and, you know, a raise will make you a little bit happy. However, more money will not bring you that much more happiness. Once we're at where we feel secure, we feel safe, we have enough money to make ends meet, to do what we want to do, and that is different in every city and town, and for every family, every single person, the amount, the number is different. But once you get there, more money does not bring more happiness. Odd, right? We keep looking after money and it's not there. Why? Because we're always comparing socially. And so one of the things I say to my clients is get on social media. If you want to be on social media to post fun pictures of yourself and look at your friends' fun pictures, that's great. But social media has turned into, I don't know, billboard city or something, right? Like, buy this, save money on that, you could have this will work. Everybody's buying this, look how great I am. Look at this new thing I have. And when we compare, we're not even comparing to reality because people's lives on social media are real. And yet, that's what we feel like. We really feel like I don't have enough. I also have to say that there are many things never worth risking for more money. The first is your reputation. Don't risk that to make more money. Your integrity. Don't risk that. Your sense of independence, your family, your friends, happiness, being loved. Never risk those things for money, ever. So I'm going to recommend a couple books, but I'm also going to recommend me if you'd like to do this because, and I'm going to move in, we're going to do some tarot and some other fun stuff. But your chart often tells me, and tells you, obviously, what is the money stuff about? If you're an astrologer, you know it's usually your second and your 8th house that talk about money. 10th house is reputation. We talk about it as career, but it's really reputation. That second house gives us a lot of information. Where Saturn is in your chart, Saturn can talk about your fears. Okay? And while money isn't, it's so funny, if you travel and you see other people's money, you go to another country, it doesn't look like money, it looks like weird paper, right? And you get it. Money provides the resources. Right? I need to be warm and safe and dry. And how can I do that? I need some way to buy warm and safe and dry. I need to be able to clothe my kids and feed myself and my kids. And so money does that. It has no value other than how it can provide for us. But we give it a whole other sense of power. So just sort of a taste of that, and if that interests you, please let me know. Direct message me on Facebook, email me, whatever. Ask me some questions because I definitely can dig into this a little more and as we get closer to Christmas. What's my suggestion for you around the holidays? If you're going to gift people, gift them an experience. Gift them time with you. Gift them something you can afford, even if they can afford more. Gift them something that maybe takes time, right? Take them somewhere. I will tell you that when, sometimes when I have kids that I want to give gifts to and I know their parents, I will go to one of the donation sites where you can donate and towards an animal, and the kid gets a stuffed, whatever it is, a stuffed octopus and a certification that they, certificate saying that they have helped save an octopus, and all those kinds of gifts donating money and you get something are really profound. When I was an academic dean and there was a bit of an expectation, there just always is, and it's a nice thing to do, to say thank you to your faculty and staff at the end of the year. I would knit scarves for my staff, and which was just kind of fun. And then for the college at large, I would make a pretty decent sized donation to the Wild Animal Sanctuary here in Colorado, and we would get a certificate. And in fact, we would get a plaque out there at the Wild Animal Sanctuary. And so our faculty at some point could go out there, go with their kids and go, look, here's a plaque saying that was a donation from our college. I found that to be much more impactful, to be much more in the spirit of giving than giving everybody a bottle of wine or a pen or a knick-knack they didn't really care about. Think about giving as in a different way. Generosity comes from our heart. And whatever we can give in that fashion, generously from our heart, from our time, from with love, is a much better gift than something, yeah, I saw it, I bought it, right? Okay, so what I'd love, and we can't do it right now because I'm not on Facebook, but you can at some point. Let me know your thoughts on this, really. Direct message me on Facebook. Go to my Facebook site. There is the Dr. Lisa on the Loose site. That's the official site with the radio show. But you can also just go to my regular site. Message me there. What are your thoughts about money? Where do you get hung up with this? And how do we fix it? Ask me those questions. How do we fix it? Because there is ways. And the first is recognizing it. So I want to shift gears. That was sort of as if I was interviewing somebody about money. I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about things I've talked about for a while. I already did a taste of astrology. I want to talk about the other thing that happens this time of year, which is people wanting predictions. We want to know. We have a visceral response, a physical response, an emotional response to the closing of the year, the start of another year. Is it going to be different? Is everything going to change when I turn that calendar page? You know, the answer is probably not. But can I make that year different for me? Yes, I can. Right? Any of us can. We can change it. And so what is that drive or this sort of prediction? I want to know, right? We all want to know. And what are some of the tools we can use to help us? And let me say that when I work with a client with astrology, I do not predict. I tell you energies. I tell you possibilities. I tell you the crossroads you may come to and how to make choices. But it's always free will. You always have free choice. So the world isn't preordained coming down on you. There are things you get dealt a hand, and it's your choice how you deal with it. And some of those hands are lovely, right? You're born into a family with enough money to make you secure and not too much money so that you don't turn into a jerk, and you get a decent education and you make good friends. Some people get dealt a good hand, and some people get dealt a much harder hand. They are born into a family with less money. They are born into a family where there's diseases of whatever kind, or they have a disease, or they get sick young. So we're dealt cards, and then we can make choices. So are we all starting from the same point? No, we're not. If you were born and have childhood cancer, you are not starting at the same point that all your other friends in school are. If you hit your 30s and are diagnosed with MS, you are not like all your other friends. You've been dealt a different hand, but you can still make choices. And that's my perspective, and it's what I do with astrology. So how do you go into this new year then, wanting to know that life is going to be better? Okay? So some of it's choice, and I'm going to give you some tools. We're going to play with some stuff here. If you're one of my clients and you're listening, you can text me because I am at home with my phone. And so you could text me and ask me some questions there, and I can do something about it. Now, what I'm going to talk about are tarot cards. I'm going to tell you that, and I've written about this too. Tarot cards are just pieces of paper, right? If my dog gets a hold of this, it's a shredded piece of paper. Where's my dog? Good question. There's no magical power in these things. They're just pieces of paper. We think, and yes, they've been around for a long time, probably since the 1400s, and we're pretty sure, regardless of what everybody says about their magical, mystical origin, most of them started as a game in Italy, which kind of makes sense when you look at them. And then through time, they were used differently. There are two elements. There's the major arcana, which are the cards that show our spiritual journey, is what we turn that into. And there are the minor arcana, which are like our normal playing cards. The suits are a little bit different, but they number the same, right? King, queen, maybe ace, king, queen, right? Jack, 10, right? They have slightly different names. So there's nothing magical in them, but as a way to help us focus, they end up being a lovely tool. Now, anything can be a lovely tool. I'm talking about tarot, but I have to tell you, occasionally, I open one of my favorite books randomly, and randomly pick a line, and read that, sort of ask a question in my head, and then read that, and play with that to find, like, my answers. Like, what do I need to do? Where am I headed? I played the game of randomly going into the library, because I love libraries, and picking up a book and opening up a page. And one of the times I did that, it opened to something that somebody had been using as a bookmark that was a piece of paper that said everything's going to be okay. And it was a really stressful time in my life, and I thought this was brilliant. I didn't need a tarot deck. I didn't need anything. I got this. What I learned from that, and what I'd like to share with you, is there are messages around us all the time. Here's my personal belief, is that we weren't sent here without instructions. Right? A frozen burrito has instructions. Take the paper off, put it in the microwave, blah, blah, blah. Don't eat it if it's too hot. There's instructions for everything. I'm pretty sure there's instructions that were sent with us. I believe they're in your chart. And I believe you can also get guidance by just paying attention to the messages around you. So, how do you do that with tarot? Now, I will tell you, when I first got my very first tarot deck, I think I was 13. I'm not sure. It came with a book, and you were supposed to memorize all this stuff, and I just couldn't get around to it. But when I got to college, I took a class in Jewish mysticism, my first year in college, and one came in, it was about Kabbalah, and one came in with tarot deck, and she talked about the major arcana and how it was the spiritual journey and how you could see it played out. And I realized from that point, I didn't need the book. I just needed to understand the messages in the pictures and my response to them. So, point one, pick a deck you like. There is no such thing as a beginner deck. Just throw that out. That means you're going to get the basic deck that everybody's used, and you're going to memorize the book, and find a deck you like. Get one that calls to you. You like the art, you like the colors, you like the pictures. I use one called the Sacred Rose. This is the back of it. And I use it because I like the colors and I like the pictures. And when I look at them, they bring things to mind for me. Because again, the cards are just a tool. You wouldn't need a card, you ask a question, you wouldn't need a card, the same way you could open a book. And you're just letting your mind play with the pictures and the colors and the meaning. And what does that mean for you? That's one. Two, I make it really easy. You're going to hear tarot readers talk about the cards reversed, so it means blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? There's enough cards in this deck. I don't need twice as many. If I have to read them straight or reversed, I have twice as many cards. I don't need it. I don't need reversed. You'll hear tarot experts, and there are some really good people out there who really understand and have studied tarot. But you'll hear them say they do this kind of a layout as if that layout is mystical and magical. It's what works for you. That's what all of this is about. What helps you make decisions that make the work, that help you build the life you want. You get that? So do I want a different life in 2023 than I have in 2022? You know what has to happen? I have to make different choices. I have to make different choices. If I want to change my life, I have to work on me. I have to understand what's happening and why are the choices I'm making leading to this. I also realize there's things I can't change. I have friends with MS. They can't stop having MS. I can make choices. I can support MS in fundraising and help find a cure. They can make choices about their treatment plans and how they live their life, but they're not going to get rid of MS by dreaming it away. They're going to find the help they need and the support they need, and they're going to change that help and support if it's not working for them. So we're dealt a deck of cards, and then we make choices. Okay, so what do you do? What do you do if you want to be different? You want to make some different choices. Where can you find guidance? Astrology? Okay, yes, absolutely. A therapist? Absolutely. A financial therapist, different money choices, absolutely. A professional mentor, like me, yes. A coach, perhaps. Right? A good coach. A life coach, perhaps. And if you want to do something mystical, like this tarot deck, what should you do? So one, you found a deck you like. You're just into it, right? The colors are pretty, you like the imagery, you like, this is the Two of Pentacles if you're looking at me on the screen. I love the color, I love the imagery, and then you play with it. So what if I pull this card? Let's say I pull one card, and that would be my suggestion. Don't worry about layouts and how to do this. Ask a question, do a morning meditation. 5 minutes of breathing, 3 minutes of breathing, right? Commit to that, that'll help you change your day. And then pull a card. What should I focus on today? What am I craving today? Where I'm feeling anxious. Give me a message. And I pull a Two of Pentacles. And you know what it looks like? It looks like lovers. It looks like two people happy. How could I interpret that? Lots of different ways. Pentacles are money. And I have a cheat sheet. You can find cheat sheets online, but if you want a cheat sheet for reading your tarot deck, just email me. Go to my website, find my email, say, could I have your cheat sheet, please? They'll probably ask you to sign up for my website. Please do that. And I'll send out my cheat sheet for you. And it'll talk you through the major arcana, but it'll also say a two means balance, connection, and pentacles mean life in general. It can mean money, right? It can mean balance in my life. What's a two? How am I balancing my money in my relationships? How am I balancing my relationships? How am I investing into my relationships? What am I craving from my relationships? And you can build that, and you can hang with those questions through the day. Because honestly, sometimes what we don't need is an answer. We do need is a better question. A lot of clients will come to me and tell me about what went wrong. And how, of course, like they did the same thing they've been doing, which is that, right, Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. What are the other choices we could make? No blame, right? There's no shame on this, but what are the other choices? So if I pull that card in the morning, perhaps what I'm craving is a deeper sense within my relationship, a way of having more meaning in my relationship. Because pentacles are money, is that it? Or is it about resources and values? And pentacles is also about the earth, okay? About establishing a foundation. Is that what I want? More of a foundation in my relationships. Not in a relationship? Where are you internally? your masculine and feminine sides, the cognitive, the mental, versus the emotional. There's no one right answer, just like there's no one right answer in life. But these are guides. They're just guides. So how can you use them? So should you ever go to a professional? Let me tell you, there's some really great reasons to go to professionals for different reasons, okay? As somebody, an expert, I think we've learned through the election cycles that experts are not always right. We get all these predictions and yeah, life changes, and that's absolutely true. Life finds a way, right? Life does its own thing, and change is inevitable. Why should you go to an astrologer besides just printing out an astrology chart for yourself? Because astrology is a tapestry, and astrology can be used as a tapestry, as a guide, as the planets keep moving in the sky, and different energies in your life. Astrologers, good ones, can end up almost like a personal, not quite a therapist by any means, but a coach, a mentor, someone who says, here's the energy, here's why you're feeling crazy right now, here's why you're feeling powerful right now, here's why, what do you want to do with that? And they can ask you good questions. A good psychic, I know some mediums who channel, and they are incredible. And we can find comfort in that. Sometimes I can channel. I'm not as good as so many of those people out there, but often when I'm working with someone, their relatives or their guides will come through. If you go to somebody amazing, and at the very beginning of my show, years ago, I had Rebecca Rosen on, who was a Denver medium, and she's amazing. She's absolutely incredible. And Rebecca Rosen is her name. And I think she does stuff online also. I know she did during the really rough parts of the pandemic. And sometimes there's comfort in that, to realize that, yeah, there does seem to be life after death, life after life. There's something. And maybe we keep learning and growing. A psychic, a tarot reader, do you need comfort? Sure, then go. However, with all of these, here's what I want to go back to. This is why I started with the money. Make sure you understand your situation with money and your money attitude. I have seen people, I've had clients come to me, and they have spent thousands of dollars with online psychics. If you're uber rich and you just want to talk to somebody for a really long time and spend $5 a minute talking to them, or the less expensive ones are $1 a minute, that's great, that's fine. $1 a minute, that's cheaper than a therapist, that's cool. But they don't have your answers. They have your questions. And what I encourage you to do is work with the people who truly give you a sense of comfort, who ask you good questions, who help you guide yourself, who want to hand it back to you, not who tell you what to do and not who tell you they need your money so that you can do something else, right? Like, oh, I never believe someone who says you have a curse on you, and if you give me the money, I'll take the curse off. Never believe that. Never believe the person who says you need to talk to me every single day or something bad will happen. Okay. I'm hoping this wasn't a ramble. We started with money. And I do believe that attitudes about money are vitally important, that they teach us so much, that without knowing where we stand in our relationship with money, and it's absolutely a relationship, without knowing that, we can't build a life that actually works for us. Maybe we can build financial security, but we die with millions in the bank, and we never even bought ourselves a warm jacket. We never had any fun. We never took a vacation. We never did anything. Perhaps we had the warm jacket and the Coach bag and the new car and the, I don't know what, the vacation to Italy or wherever, and we're so far in debt we can't sleep at night. Neither of those are good things. Where are those answers? Those answers are in your past. Those answers are in your decisions you make for your future. You want to know your future? Look at your present. You want to know your past? Look at your present. Why then did I switch over to this? Because the psychic side, because we want answers. And the answers are inside of us. And sometimes we need help finding them. Right? We need help with a financial therapist. We need help. Just how do I ask myself different questions? How do I do this differently? We build the same thing over and over again. It's amazing. We get out of a relationship and we get into one that's exactly the same. We don't have to do that this coming year. So the next couple weeks, so I'm back in 2 weeks and then 2 weeks after that, and that will close out the year. We're going to keep focusing on this topic. How do you make choices that help you build a 2023 that you truly want to live in? How do you do it? How do you make those choices? And I think some of those answers will surprise you. Volunteer, be generous, be kind, vote, right? Do things that matter. Understand who you are first, especially before you criticize others. We're out of time. I'm hoping this made sense to you. I'm hoping you enjoyed it. Let me know on Facebook, Elisa Robin, or Dr. Elisa Barus, on my website, elisarobin.com. Robin is spelled with a Y. ELISAROBYN, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram, or just email elisarobin@msn.com. And stay tuned for more wonderful shows. And until then, do me a favor, stay healthy, right? Stay inspired by life. And remember, you can choose to live life on the loose.